Hi, this is Mr. Anderson in the second Life on Earth podcast on classification. When we're talking about classification, we have to talk about this guy, Carolus Linnaeus, or we'll just call him Carl. Carl was a Swedish botanist, and basically what he liked to do is discover new species, name them, classify them. And so if you're familiar with like order and class and species, this all comes from Linnaeus. We call this our Linnaean classification system. And so if we play this through time, way back in 1735, Linnaeus develops this. He would classify life as vegetable or animal. If we play this forward in time, we've had a number of different taxonomists who've come up with different systems. So we've added things like protists, prokaryotes, monarans, and now finally we have a 3-domain naming system today. And this will probably change in the future. But we have another Carl Woese, who's come up with this idea of how to classify life. So we've gone Carl to Carl and changed quite a bit, especially with technology that we have. But we've also made a huge shift because Carolus Linnaeus didn't believe Darwin was right. He didn't believe in evolution. And now we build our whole naming system on the idea of natural selection and evolution over time. And so the goal in classification today is to have monophyletic naming and monophyletic groups. And so what does that mean? Well, basically right here we've got a phylogenetic tree. And so what we want to create is what is called a monophyletic grouping. So if we look at this group right here, we want this whole group here, all the individuals inside here, to share this common ancestor and to not leave anything out. In other words, we want to make sure that we're putting, if birds were to be classified as mammals, that would screw everything up. So we want it to be in one big group. And we want our naming system to kind of reflect that. And so as we go from this huge tree of life, so if we go from this first tree of life, where we branch it off to bacteria and archaea and eukarya, we want this naming system to keep going along with this phylogenetic tree of life. And so, ironically, the Linnaean system is used to basically classify life according to the work of Darwin. And so the problem with that is this. If you look at these two plants, this plant here and this plant here, Linnaeus would have picked both those up and said, let's classify those in the same group because they look a lot alike. But the reason they look a lot alike is they've convergently evolved. In other words, they look the same because they fill the same niche or they fill the same role. If we were to look at this pill bug and this pill millipede, you would say they're classified the same. Let's put them in the same group. However, they're not related at all. They just look the way they do because of the environmental pressures that make them look that way. And so that's why Linnaeus had a problem. And that's why scientists for a long period of time have had this problem on grouping individuals according to the way they look. But the rescuer in this whole thing is DNA and genetic material. In other words, we can look at the DNA of individuals now, or in this case, we're looking at this is two-dimensional protein electrophoresis, so we're actually separating proteins. And so we can look at how similar they are, and we can see, we're more related to a chimpanzee than a gorilla and a orangutan, and we can even lay out this phylogenetic tree. Once we've done that, then classification kind of comes right after that. And so basically the system of classification is giving each organism on our planet a specific name. And that name is based on binomial nomenclature. So all living things get two names, a genus and a species. And so you are Homo sapiens, but a wolf is Canis lupus. So what is this organism right here? Well, you might know this as a cougar or a mountain lion or puma. You might know it by one of the 40 different names that it has. And I'm not even including different languages. And so the problem in science is coming up with a standard naming system. So in the literature, when we're talking about a mountain lion, we know exactly what we're talking about. And so basically, this is the way we classify life. We classify life from life all the way down to species. And so if you've been in biology for a while, you know this. I remember this in my head. Dumb King Philip came over from German soil. So I can just say that without reading it here because I've learned, we'll pretend that this is dumb King Philip came over from German soil. It's just a way for you to memorize all the different divisions in the classification system. And so that is domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. And so when we talk about the scientific name, then we're talking about this last two right here. And so let's go through the mountain lion. So it's alive, so it's classified as a living thing. It's in the domain eukarya, that means it has, a nucleus inside that. It's an animal, it's a chordate, so it's got a spinal cord, it's a mammal, it's carnivore, it's a cat, and it's Puma concolor. And so that's going to be its scientific name. So when we write out what is this, all scientists are going to write this out as Puma concolor. And so that is its scientific name, or we might just abbreviate it as this in the literature. We also, I can't do this in my writing, have to write this in italics to represent it as that. And so all living things on our planet that we've identified as a species is classified according to this system. Now the problem right now is that the biodiversity on our planet is really depleting quickly. And so we have species going extinct faster than we can actually name them. But what is the naming system? It's based in Latin, and there have been some kind of changes on that over time. But basically, that's our classification system. Again, it reflects evolution. It tries to be monophyletic, but again, it's a science that's rapidly changing as technology kind of catches up with it. And I hope that's helpful.
Hi, and welcome to Module 1, Important Biological Concepts. I'm going to walk you through step by step of how to complete the assignment for this module. First off, we're going to go to Modules, and Module 1. And then Important Biological Concepts. Okay, this is where you have found the video as well as your presentations for this part of the module. So for your assignment, you went to Important Biological Concepts. You see your classification questions and your classification worksheet. You will also have the video that you are listening to now posted here for you. So when you open up the classification questions, this is what you're going to be looking at. Okay, it's several blank questions and then true false. And when you open up the classification worksheet, you see taxonomy, classification, and dichotomous keys. And these are several little creatures that we're going to be looking at. So the first thing we want to cover is we want to say, okay, what is classification? Well, classification is the organization of organisms into distinct groups by certain characteristics. For example, this illustration is of humans. Domain is not in this illustration. However, domain is between prokaryotic or eukaryotic, or prokaryote, eukaryote. Prokaryote being a single cell, non-nucleus bound, such as bacteria, and the eukaryote being nucleus bound. So we are in domain eukaryote. Kingdom, Animalia. So that means that we are animal or animal-like. We are different than a plant or a fungus. The other kingdoms are plantae and fungi. Phylum, Chordata, chordate meaning backbone. Class, Mammalia. We are mammals. We have hair. We produce milk and give birth to live young. Order, Primates. The characteristics for primates are binocular vision, a generalized body plan, and an increased reliance on vision. Family, Hominidae. Being a member of all of the family of higher apes, humans, chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, etc. And then some species also have a subfamily, and Homo sapiens or humans are in that character or classification, Hominidae. So it's separate from the remainder of the ape-like species. A genus, Homo, meaning in the human line or distinct from other human precursors, and then species, Sapien, or modern human. Okay, so we've seen how all of these are broken down. Let's go back to our classification questions. So first off, a classification system used to characterize organisms is known as taxonomic hierarchy. So we're going to look at number 2. Number 2 is asking us to list the order of classification starting with domain. Okay, if you go back to what we just covered, and is covered also in the previous video of domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. Alright. Okay, so question number 3 is asking you to come up with your own mnemonic device, some way to remember the order of classification. The one that I was taught in school was, Dear King Philip came over for great spaghetti. This is something that you create, just a way that you can remember it. Okay, classification worksheet, instructions. We're going to be identifying the species for the creatures on the planet Parmasham. Okay, these numbers here, 1 through 20, go with the creature sheet, where it says classification sheet. classification worksheet. Now let's go back to our assignment and go over it real quick. Interpreting graphics and taxonomy. So you're looking for true or false answers here. So it's just number 1. Dogs belong to the order Felidae. So this you're going to use the diagram over here. So first we want to find the order Felidae. And our dogs. So here's cats, lions, wolf, dogs. Well, it says that dogs belong to the order Carnivora. So what is Felidae? Felidae is actually a family of, like a feline family, or cats. So that would be false. Okay, so you go through each of those 1 through 12 and using the graphics over here to answer. Also, you number 13, in each set, circle the pair that is most closely related. So snakes and crocodiles or snakes and frogs. Well, where is our snake? Snake. Snakes and crocodiles both belong to the class Reptilia, phylum Chordata. Snakes and frogs, snakes is class Reptilia, and then Amphibia is for the frogs. So yes, these two belong to the same class, therefore they are more closely related than these two, even though they are all from the phylum Chordata. So that's how you answer 13 through 18. So 19 is to list all the animals pictured that belong in the Felidae family. So you go to family Felidae and list the animals that belong in that family. 20. The image does not show orders of insects. Suggests 3 categories of insects that would likely be grouped into orders. So if you were to classify insects into 3 distinct groups, what classification traits or characteristics would you use? And that's why you answered there on number 20. So let's go back over here to our classification worksheet. So creature number 1. So you can see creature number 1, he's got a little head, he's got antenna, he's got little hairs coming out of his body. He has 2 eyes. So let's start with him. We go to 1A. The creature has a large wide head. Well, no, he kind of has a narrow head compared to this creature, so we'll say no, he does not have a wide head. So then we go to 1B. The creature has a small, narrow head. Well, yeah, he has a small, narrow head. You go across and it tells you to go to number 11. So we go over here and find number 11, and we start at 11A. The creature has no antenna. Yes, he has antenna, so that's not it. So we go to 11B. The creature has antenna. Yes. Go all the way across, and it tells us to go to number 14. So 14A. The creature has 2 eyes. Yes, the creature has 2 eyes. So it tells us to go to number 15. Okay, 15. The creature has a mouth. Yes, the creature does have a mouth. So it tells us to go to 16. There are spikes on the left leg. There's right leg, left leg. Yes, he has spikes on his left leg. So it tells us that this creature is Nereus portus. So we go back to our classification questions, and number 1 you would put Nereus portus. Remember that when you are typing or writing the classification name, that the genus is always going to be capitalized and the species is always going to be lowercase, and these will be italicized. Okay, so you would key out each species, all 20 of them, using the same exact steps that I just showed you with number 1. So let's do one more real quick. We'll do number 20. So the creature has a large wide head. No. The creature has a small narrow head. Yes. So we're going to number 11. Okay, we're at 11. The creature has no antenna. Well, it does have antenna, so the creature has antenna. Yes. Go to 14. Okay. 14. The creature has 2 eyes. Yes. Go to 15. The creature has a mouth. It does not have a mouth, so the creature has no mouth. Go to 17. The creature has spikes. Yes, the creature does have spikes. Go to 18. There are spikes on the head. Or there are spikes on the right leg. Well, he has spikes on his head. So we're going to go to 19. There are spikes covering the face, or there are spikes only on the outside edge of the head. Well, they're only on the outside edge of the head. Therefore, he would be Nereus viridis. So that is what you would put for species